Hi, this is Denny Sarokin with GUITARTOWN TV, and I'm here with Dave Gartland, who is, what is your formal title?
I'm the Marketing and Artist Relations Director for Saga Musical Instruments.
Terrific, and they have great lines of guitars, mandolins, banjos, incredible quality at just really great prices. And we're going to talk especially today about a mutual friend of ours. And what signature model have you got here?
Well, as you alluded, one of our great friends and probably one of the best musicians in the world, musicians, not just guitar players in the world, is John Jorgensen. And we've been working with John for a long time doing a number of projects, but our most recent project is his Dreadnought guitar. And for those of you who know John, you know he's a man of many talents, and he's been in many very, very famous bands
He's a master of many talents.
Yeah. And so imagine in his Desert Rose band days with Chris Hillman and Herb Peterson, the country rock style of music that he was playing. It brings back the country and bluegrass roots, which are some of his deepest roots of learning in music, aside from some of his gypsy jazz efforts, which we'll get to in a little bit. But
we sort of first met when I was in the Stone Canyon Band with Rick Nelson, and he'd just come to California, and that kind of helped him jumpstart his whole kind of California country roads, and our guys wound up in his band. And
exactly,
I'll take that blame for that one any day.
Well, thank you, because it really gave him the impetus or the outlet to create this music that was a great new sound that was a shoot off from the sound you guys were doing, and kept his roots where they were. And so this inference is the Desert Rose Band, as for those of you can see.
That is gorgeous.
The inlay.
If we had a bigger budget, I'd have my cameraman zoom in on it.
There you go.
Right.
The gray inlay.
That's a beautiful inlay for the Desert Rose.
Babylonian pearl to represent his time in that band. And then the Dreadnought shape used. One of the great things about this guitar is that we really discussed what we wanted it to do with John. We wanted it to be a bluegrass machine, and so we went with a really unique top wood that nobody else is using, called Port Orford cedar, and it's from the Pacific Northwest. It's very rare material, and the neat thing about it is it normally it's not a tinted color. It's a very white cedar, but it has a strength to weight ratio that's close to spruce, but not the other side of cedar. So you get this warm sound that has a bright edge at the same time, where often cedar can be a soft and very luscious sounding warm material you find in different kinds of guitars, classical guitars and things of that sort. But also you find this in wonderful Japanese instruments and in high-end craft. I mean, it's a very rare wood, and so we thought, well, let's combine that with the large sound hole to pay our respects to Clarence and the Tony Rice and all those guys.
I'm such a professional at this that I'm doing this for the
guitar. So let's say, there you go.
The guitar?
Yeah.
This has the proverbial Clarence White.
It's a little bit small, a little bit different. Yeah. We engineered it to fit we kind of made it fit the top material, so the diameter of it it's very much voiced to work with the top, and the principle behind what that sound hole does is, some would think that it makes it a bassier instrument, but what it really does do is it makes all the frequencies come out a little bit more clearly and more crisply in a way, because it's not holding the air in the body as tightly as maybe a little smaller hole would. So what you get with the larger hole is it allows the frequencies to develop, and they come out nice and pure and rich sounding. And I think that's some of the reasons why that a lot of guys were, maybe, even if their sound hole wasn't wearing out, some guys were cutting them larger in those days, you know, and maybe because of those guys, Tony and Clarence, or Clarence, let's say first, Clarence White, you know, maybe there was a secret to the sound, but maybe it really was in some scientific way that it just has proven later. And this goes back, it goes back to the Greek times, the theory of hole openings in containers and how sound is moving and air moves. So there's lots of neat things going on.
Well, tell us about the back.
Yeah, well, if you take a look at that, yeah, this is going to be Santos rosewood, and it's a veneer, which is really cool. And that, as a road guitar, for a road guitar, is really special. What happens with the sound is it, in conjunction with this top and this sound hole size and this material, you get the sound that just jumps out of the guitar. the tone, I guess the refined tone from the top and the sound hole comes out faster, and as a Rode guitar, it's just fabulous. Not only does that help hit with how the sound goes through the mics, but the projection is just very intense, and so.
Now, normally when somebody's doing, I want my signature guitar, it's like, I want the koa wood from the top of the mountaintop and the rarest of things.
Brazilian of the Brazilian.
Laminate.
How you go, folks? And that is not so much a secret as much as a fact that when you marry materials together, you can voice the instruments to do particular things, and in this particular case, it's doing kind of more than we expected. And John has wonderful stories about him using different pick types and how well the top responded to those pick types, and he was able to. In fact, he told me he got the guitar and within a day he wrote 2 songs on it. So look for some music with this guitar real soon.
And part of the influence of the laminate here is John also being a master gypsy jazz guitar, uses this other model that we're going to talk to.
Yeah, I'll switch it right out.
Which is a laminated, was the old style.
Yeah, and if you think about gypsy jazz, you can't think of anything but a guitar shaped like this, with the peg heads slotted on the top. If you know Django had a guitar that looked like this. So John, being the aficionado, the legendary guitarist,
quote unquote, the American ambassador to gypsy jazz.
Exactly, thank you. He knows what the sound's supposed to be, and he also knows that we're a great company to work with because we do those things. We engineer the guitar to meet the sound he's looking for. We get the materials from all over the place, put them together the right way, and then you get a guitar that sounds fabulous. So I think you're going to see similarities here. The look, the binding, the Dalmatian binding you see on this guitar, you see on his signature Dreadnought. You see a lot of the common denominators that denotes John's style. I'm going to turn it around and show you something you've seen already. That's Santos Rosewood again. The veneer, and original Selmers all had veneer back and sides. And as far as I know, original Selmers are about $50,000, somewhere in there. So that's an interesting concept, that if you're worried about a material being a veneer or a solid material, there's a reason to choose one or the other depending upon what you're trying to achieve tonally. And this guitar needs to be aggressive, it needs to attack quickly, it needs to have a sound that comes and jumps right out.
Now that's just one other thing here for someone like me, singer-songwriters, performers. Why don't you show us one of your conventional Dreadnoughts?
Yeah, I can do that.
And then we'll jam with these heavy metal guy over here.
What we have here is, for those of you who are, regardless of the style of music you're in, if you need a big sound, a big acoustic sound, the sound that you might have heard in all music, folk music, rock and roll, to bluegrass, which is one of our fondness among many styles. You need a nice Dreadnought. You need something with a big sound. So if you're a songwriter, you've got something that can chord, or if you're a solo player, you can play it like you would even the jazz or John's Dreadnought. But what we have here is a typical all solid Dreadnought style guitar in the paying our respects to the masters of Dreadnought guitars, Martin guitars. I mean, let's face it.
This is like their pre-war.
This would be like a herringbone, a 28 style herringbone. The bone you'd find in bluegrass because it's got that rich bottom end and nice highs and a little bit mid scoop, but that's okay because you're looking for boom, a G run to pop out, So if you're into that style, an all solid East Indian rosewood guitar with a Sitka spruce top, you're in business. Rosewood fingerboard, bone nuts, bone saddles, all the high-end materials one would need in any guitar.
But I love, this is kind of your signature.
Yeah. It's the Dalmatian tortoise pickguard has been our signature.
And these are available in like a triple O size. They're available with electronics and cutaways.
Sure. Parlor guitars. We make tenor guitars, which is also a market that's just going wonderfully. If you're a folky or if you're a ukulele player, you might feel comfortable with the 4 strings. And I apologize if this isn't in tune. It is. So tuned in 5th. You can.
And this is what you need for.
Let's see.
So this is. Oh, did he ever return? No, he never returned. And the fate is still unlearned.
That's right. So you can imagine, we're touching on folk sounds. We're touching on music that's generations passed down to people that, it's timeless, and the instruments are too. And like you demonstrated so wonderfully that song. Another thing people are talking to me about is here in Nashville, where we are today. There are session guys using this in Nashville tuning, where they'll tune this to the guitar, I guess the bottom 4.
Nashville tuning is where they use the higher strings from a 12 string by themselves, and it just adds a beautiful little twinkling, kind of shimmering. And again, great price breaks.
Yeah, anything from the low hundreds to the thousands, we can cover everybody's needs. And for example, John's signature model, this will retail at about $1,300. Now that's unusual for a signature guitar.
For a signature model, it's $3,000 to $5,000.
Exactly. Why?
Name.
And John's not into doing that. He always believed, like us, that it doesn't have to cost a lot to make a great guitar. And for him, he'd much rather play something that is as normal as everybody else, and because that's the truth of music, and why he doesn't want to have something that someone else can't have, and if you know John, you know that's just how John is. He's just a wonderful person.
Yeah,
and
just the most generous a player and encouraging.
Absolutely,
everybody. He's a great guy.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to let you go back here and sell some guitars, and it's been great talking to you, Dave.
It was great talking to you too, sir. I can't even believe seeing you again.
I'm not only just a fan of them, I'm going to be a player with them, and I look forward to getting my new stuff.
If you like triple O's, so does he, and we make several.
And your website is?
Saga. It's www.sagamusic.com, and the brand is Blue Ridge, and you can just type in triple O, you can type in Dreadnought. If you on the front page, you can, very easy to find.
Yeah, you can just find it, and you can actually, instead of looking through 1,000 pages, you can just hit 50 at the bottom and just go through the whole catalog.
There you go.
Dave, thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Danny.
We'll see you again.
Wonderful time again. See you next year. Bye, everybody.